The camera of my memory always returns to the sound of the wall clock, one imperfect tick that dragged at the second hand, then a clean tock that landed like a gavel. The room smelled of camphor and stale incense. Outside, rain stitched grey lines down the courthouse window. The house, the lawyer said, snug behind his glasses, is bequeathed to Kamal Rahman in full. My brother didn't look at me. His thumb caressed the edge of our father's signet ring, already on his hand, the gold flashing damply in the light. Our mother folded and unfolded her handkerchief. The cloth rasped against her wedding bangles. And the press, I asked. My voice sounded like it had been rolled under a truck. The Rahman printing works will be wound down to settle outstanding debts, the lawyer said. Any surplus, if there is any, will go to Mrs. Rahman. He closed the folder with a sound like the end of a story. I stared at the handler's blue thread poking from the legal file. Baba promised me the press, I said. He promised me the house if I kept it running. I did. I slept on the office couch half my 20s. We're all grieving, my mother said softly. Sana, not here. Kamal cleared his throat, finally brave enough to lift his eyes. We'll talk at home. Home? I laughed. It scraped my throat raw. Do I still live there? He flinched, and that told me everything. I felt something hard and old in me finally move, like a rusted bolt giving way. Revenge didn't arrive like a storm. It arrived like a key finally turned. By night, the press breathed like a living thing. The old Heidelberg spun its steady thrum. Paper smell, pulp and ink, had long ago soaked into my bones. The ceiling fan ticked with a baleful wobble that matched the courthouse clock. My father taught me this room. He taught my small hands to feed the sheets, smooth the misprints, smell when the black ran too dry. We were ordinary people. Our ink paid for school uniforms and cumin, for gas, for light. When he grew slow and grey, the press grew mine by labour, if not by document. He said so over tea, his hand squeezing mine, jasmine steam fogging his glasses. You keep our name in print, he said. The house is safest with the one who keeps the doors open. He lied, or someone else used his name to. I pulled the ledger from the hidden shelf under the counter. The leather was cracked, the pages brittle and pocked with fingerprints of ink. Entries in my father's cramped script marched across the months. Kilograms of paper, lines of debt, receipts, invoices. There, in the stark light thrown by the desk lamp, 3 months before the cancer took him, a line item in a tidy, unfamiliar hand. Legal services, codicil. The notary's stamp bled through. The date was wrong. It sat 2 days after I'd sat with my father while he slept under a morphine tide. I remembered the heat of his hand, the way it had twitched as if plucking paper from an invisible stack. He had not left the bed that day. He had not signed anything. I touched the stamped circle and felt the throb of the press inside me. The page sucked my warmth. It was a good forgery. A paperman wearing Baba's name. I sent a message to Arif, come by the press. I need you. Arif arrived smelling faintly of rain and aftershave, his umbrella dripping in a neat circle by the door. His suit clung just enough to make me forgive him again for being a man in a world that let them set terms. We'd been engaged for 3 months, not long, not short. He'd proposed in the alley after closing, laughing, ink on his cheek. He loved the press. He loved me more, he'd said. You shouldn't be here, he said now, closing the door like he owned it. Your mother's worried you'll do something rash. I'm going to do many rash things, I said. Help me. He rested a hand on my shoulder. Tell me. I showed him the ledger, the stamp, the dates, my father's asleep body etched in my memory like a watermark. Maybe the notary came here, Arif said. He was too far gone to hold a pen. If this is real, it's cruel. If it's false, it's criminal. Arif exhaled. You want to, what? Sue your family? Drag your mother into court? Publicly accuse Kamal of, I want what was promised, I said. The house kept our name for 3 generations. The press is the only thing I took from life instead of giving to it. He swore, I know, Arif said, softening. He looked at me the way people look at glassware on a shaking shelf. We can ask questions without burning bridges. I thought of how Kamal hadn't looked at me while the lawyer shoveled dirt on our life. I'm done with asking. At dinner, the plates clinked and the ceiling fan clicked. The yellow light made everyone look the same tired shade. The curry skated an oily sheen across the surface, the rice clung. Eat, my mother said, feeding the line between us. You look thin. I'll eat when you tell me why you let him take the house, I said. Kamal's eyes flicked to me, then down. We followed Baba's instructions. Do you call a fake stamp an instruction? His chair scraped. Don't use words you don't understand. I used a press before you used a stapler. I slid the ledger onto the table. Explain the date. Kamal's face did an ugly twitch that I remembered from childhood, when he'd been caught snapping off the head of my doll and had tried to put it back on, crooked and sullen. Enough, my mother said. Her jaw muscle stood out like a pebble under her skin. We will not tear ourselves in front of plates, Sana. I'm not tearing anything, I said. Someone already did. I'm just holding up the fabric to the light. Silence. The clock ticked in the hall. My mother's bangles sang a soft metallic line as she poured water, her hand not entirely steady. We'll speak tomorrow, she said. No, I said. It was the cleanest word I had. Tonight. Kamal pushed his chair back and stood. You want to drag us into the street? Fine. He jabbed a finger at the ledger. Oh, you don't know what father wanted. He told me to take care of things. He told me you'd ruin everything with your principles. Is that before or after he miraculously signed away my life while unconscious? He bared his teeth. It wasn't a smile. You were always the favorite. Now you learn that costs something. Arif's phone buzzed against the glass of water. He checked it, thumb flicking in a way that suggested a private rhythm. A small sour thought bloomed in me, a weed that had seeded itself with every cancelled date and unexplained errand these last weeks. It sprouted, then flowered. Who is that? I asked. Arif held my gaze, then set the phone down face down. Work. On the night my future is being carved? We can't fix this in an hour, he said. Sana, love, be wise. It's time, I said, and reached under the table to press record on my phone where it had sat cradled in my bag. The red dot bloomed like an artery, Kamal, I said, crisp. Did you pay a notary to stamp a fake codicil? His eyes slid toward the staircase, the way out. Oh, you're sick. Answer me. This is madness, did you? He sat back down slowly, like the answer was heavy and he didn't want to drop it. He laced his fingers and bowed his head as if in prayer. When he lifted his face, he wore our father's scowl. I did what I had to, he said. Baba asked me to arrange things. There it was, just enough rope. I kept my face still. Arrange. You used the word he used, but not the action. He wanted the house safe. He wanted me safe. You took both. Arif's phone buzzed again. He ignored it, but his hand twitched. I recognized desperation on him. I remembered how last week he had insisted we have our engagement party at a rooftop restaurant Kamal favored. Not at the press as I'd wished. He had convinced me with his smile, and then spent most of the evening on calls. Now you'll bring police into this? Kamal said, flinging his hand at my bag. The neighbors will feed on it. Mother will tell the truth, I said, turning to her. Or I will cut it out raw. She stared at her hands. When she looked up, grief had burned her face precise and clean. I asked him, she said. The room went very still. Even the fan seemed to hold its breath. I asked Kamal to change the paper, my mother said. The word forge would not leave her mouth. Your father was drowning us in debt, Sana. He borrowed against the house. He borrowed against his own breath. The hospital wanted advance payments. The bankman came on a Friday and drank my tea and told me grandchildren were no protection from the auction block. I stared at her, and the hurt became huge, its shape the size of our house. So you cut me out. I cut myself out too, she said, the words breaking. The codicil made the house your brother's, because the loan papers already did. If it came to you, the bank would seize it at once. Kamal paid to settle the worst of it, to keep a roof. He needed legal control to consolidate. I did what mothers have done since roofs were invented. I chose the least fire. I looked at Kamal, counting doors he'd left open for me. I counted none. The rage willowed in the air between us like heat. Mother's truth didn't douse it. It turned it to steam. And the press? I asked. Why kill it? My mother's face did something I didn't recognize. She looked away, ashamed. Kamal looked at Arif. Very subtly, very complicit. The weed in me grew thorns. The press is worthless, Kamal said too quickly. Old iron, debt. No, I said, measuring my breath. It's a name. It is us. Kamal is right, Arif said, finally speaking. It felt like someone had knocked a shelf inside my chest, and everything fell into me. We can't keep bleeding. Your father's habits. My father's habits? Who of all people? Arif's face was calm the way policemen get calm. Kamal approached me months ago to help manage the closure. He wanted to make it gentle for you. The engagement? I asked, my voice coming out strange. He didn't flinch. That hurt worse. I love you, he said. Both things can be true. For a moment, the air thinned. I could hear utensils settling. I could hear my own pulse. It was like watching a spoon bend. Everything looked the same, but the shape was never going to be what it had been. You used me, I said. We needed you steady, Kamal said, not even pretending. So you wouldn't run to the newspaper or the neighbors or the press? I asked. It would have been funny if it hadn't been mine. Arif reached for my hand. I moved it. He let his fingers close on emptiness and looked for the first time as though he felt the drop beneath his feet. I kept my voice. Mother, did you know he asked my fiancé to soften me for the slaughter? My son told me, she said. My son said the boy would keep you from hurting yourself with pride. I wanted to break something. I wanted to break the soft quiet that had settled on our dinners since Baba went to the hospital. Break the frame with his photo. Break Arif's solemn mouth. Break the hour like a plate. Instead, I reached deeper into my bag and took out the small black recorder I'd bought from a shop with bells on the door. I set it on the table, the red dot bright as a little wound. I am not a girl you keep steady, I said. I am a machine that makes paper speak. Kamal's lips thinned. Arif's eyes moved fast, calculating. My mother looked tired. The pop-up snake of triumph I expected didn't spring. The relief didn't come. Only a cold clarity, a line I would walk. Here is what will happen, I said. You will transfer the press to me in full, free of debt. You will give me the list of all suppliers and clients and the account numbers. You will leave me the van. You will keep the house as you arranged, and you will live there with your conscience for company until it grows too heavy for the roof. The codicil recording will never leave my pocket unless you cross me. Kamal laughed. It was high, young. You think you can bargain with family using this trick? I think I can use truth in a house that sold it, I said. And if you want to measure blood, remember who bled for years to keep the lights on. Arif reached for me again, this time with his voice. Sana, if you go to war, no one wins. Some wars end your illusion, I said. That's a kind of victory. My mother's bangles chimed as she lifted her water and set it down again, blinking again and again. Her lips trembled. You will break us, she whispered. You broke me, I said, and instantly hated the simplicity of it. It was true and not big enough to hold the world. No, you broke the thing we used to eat at. I'm building a table somewhere else. Kamal's contempt had matured into fear. He looked at Arif and found only a man whose calculations had come up short. How do we know you won't publicize it anyway? Kamal asked. I smiled without joy. Because I am not you, and because it will hurt Mother more than it will hurt you. Silence again. Finally, my mother sighed. I saw her look at me, and in a flicker, the young woman she had been looked at the young woman I still was, and something like recognition passed between them. Her hand went to her neck where her chain rested. Transfer the press, she said, her voice drained of pretense. Do it tonight. Kamal bristled. I'll do it, she said louder. Your father's name needs one place left where it is not sold. We went to the lawyer's office. Late, the city sweating around us, the court steps slick with the day's rain. A sleepy clerk stamped papers. Kamal signed with a furious hand. The notary, a different man from the one in the ledger stamp, watched with a narrowed eye, always ferreting out the drama others couldn't hide. Arif stood in the corridor, hands in pockets as I refused to take his gaze. I wanted to protect you from this, he said when I passed. You protected me from my life, I said. Those are different things. I can still help. You already did, I said, and left him standing in the echo of the corridor's tile. On our way out, my mother took my arm. Her fingers were cold. There is more, she said. I don't say it to excuse myself. What more could there be? I asked, exhausted. She looked toward the dark windows. Your father's first big loan wasn't for the press. It was for the child of his eldest son. My brain stumbled. Kamal has no children. No, she said. He does. You have a niece. I have a granddaughter. She lives with her mother in another part of the city. It is not a respectable arrangement. The little one needed surgeries. He borrowed what he shouldn't in the quiet to keep her breathing. He was ashamed. He never found the courage to tell you. The shape of my anger changed. It didn't go away. It turned into something with ragged edges, edges that could wound on every side. I thought of Kamal at 15, already smoking behind the press, already pretending the world bent to him. I thought of a baby, unseen by the family whose name she had. Does she know us? I asked. My voice sounded new. No, my mother said. Not yet. Why tell me now? My mother's eyes were very dark and very tired. Because if you burn us, you will burn her too. And because the truth is a debt as well. I am paying some of mine. We stood there, two women in a corridor that smelled of damp paper and bureaucracy. I wanted to forgive her and couldn't. I wanted not to want it and couldn't. I'll keep the recording, I said. And I'll keep my promise. You keep yours, she nodded. When we stepped onto the street, the rain had stopped. The city hissed, steam rising in ghostly sheets from the pavement. Somewhere far off, a muezzin called the night prayer. The sound braided with the memory of the press's thrum and steadied my breath. I slept at the press the first night it was mine. I spread my shawl on the office couch and tucked the recorder under my pillow like a talisman. The machinery hummed. Old, solid, forgiving as long as you respected its laws. I woke before dawn and set the plates and fed the sheets, and by sunrise the first stack of visiting cards lay finished on the table. Black ink dried like small orderly declarations. I ran a thumb across one and smiled when it came up clean. At noon, a woman walked in with a girl whose eyes were Kamal's. I didn't pretend not to know. I brewed tea and I was extra careful with the sugar. We spoke in careful words that held bigger ones invisible inside them. The girl liked the way the machine shivered. She put her hand on the table to feel it. What do you call it? She asked, and the press puffed out its soft ink-scented breath. A promise, I said. A loud one. They left with a box of cards for a small bakery I had not known existed. Another family, crust and crumb, out of my sight all these years. I watched them go and felt the world shift, as if an invisible table had been dragged to make space for a new chair. That evening, I went home. I packed my clothes and my books and the photograph of Baba with his young hands black with ink and his grin too big for his face. My mother watched from the doorway, her hands worried around a towel, and didn't try to stop me. Kamal stood by the stairs, eyes dark and unreadable. He had given me what I demanded. It did not absolve him. We existed in a truce drawn with a fine nib. At the threshold, my mother reached up and pressed something into my palm, the signet ring. It was warm from her skin. He would have wanted you to wear it, she said. I don't know what he would have wanted, I said softly, but I know what I want. I will send you the spices you like, she said, because love is sometimes stubborn and unpoetic. Thank you, I said. Send me the recipe too. She nodded and I left. In the months that followed, the press lived. It printed wedding cards and catalogues, pamphlets for a neighborhood clinic, a small booklet of poems by a bright young man with nervous hands. The machine knocked and breathed. My hands became stronger. My anger became less like acid and more like fire, contained, used, watched. I did not release the recording. I did not delete it. I held it like a match. Kamal came by once and we stood in the noise of the press and didn't apologize. He looked older than his years. I watched the water find its path through stone, a niece, a bakery, a loan taken from a bad pride and given to a good small lungs. It wasn't clean. It was family. Months later, I went to the old house. The bougainvillea snarled purple along the wall. The front step had a new crack. I unlocked the door with my key because I still had one. Inside, the clock tocked imperfectly. I stood in the doorway of my father's room. The air smelled of camphor and dust. I slipped the signet ring on my finger and looked at my face in the mirror. Ink had become a permanent part of the lines near my fingers. My smile looked like someone who had chosen and then chosen again. It wasn't redemptive in the movie's grand fashion. It was better. It was mine, on the mantle. I left a single card from the last run at the press. Rahman Printing Works. Established 1956. Re-established 2025, we keep our word in ink. When I closed the door behind me, the house sighed. The city exhaled. The rain threatened as ever. I walked toward the place that breathed with me and didn't look back until the corner made it necessary, as corners always do. Family can heal you or destroy you. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales of love, loss, and redemption. Your support helps us keep these stories alive.